Bam! What is up with the squad? It's your favorite auntie with Uncle Tennessee's in the building. Y'all know what it is. Poly Sports Tea Time. I got Political Lil in the building. Political Lil, what's up?
All right.
Y'all know what it is. We're gonna get right into it. We finna get right into it. We got some hoops coming up tonight. But before we get into the hoops, we want to talk about something that I felt like they tried to slide it under the radar on this Lil. They tried to pull a real fast one with this one. So let's get into it. Let's start a pot. Let's apply the pressure and plant the seeds. That's what we're here for. Coming in the door, y'all. Hit the like, hit the share, because they both right there. Like and share, because they both right there. 5 of y'all share this thing out. Let them know that we are here having this conversation. We talk about power, politics, and what's really going down behind the press releases, especially when it comes to black women. This is cultural analysis conscious. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Something just happened with Instagram Live. Let's go back. All right, here we go. Listen. We're not just over here talking hoops, okay? When it comes to black women, this is cultural analysis with the conscience. And we mean that. It's strategy, it's not spectacle. Y'all know by now sports ain't ever just about the games we play. It's about the systems that we playing in. And today's brew, it's we're diving into WNBA's latest expansion announcement. Now, I was super excited, like, yo, we got teams coming. This is gonna happen. This is good. And then I realized that it might not be so good. I called Lil like, hey, we need to do some research. My spidey senses is tingling. And sure enough. 3 new teams got the green light, but not one is black owned. Not even with serious bids on the table from Candace Parker, a whole WNBA legend, or a group backed by NBA All-Star Jayson Tatum. Instead, all 3 went to NBA-affiliated ownership groups. Quiet moves, loud impact. And I saw some of the comments. One of the comments on the recorded episode, Lil was, y'all do know that it took $250 million. Stop acting like black folks can't raise $250 million. Stop acting like there's not power in the black dollar. But that's another conversation. But let's be real. If the current trends holds, by 2030, 12 of the 18 WNBA teams will be under NBA control. That's not just business, y'all. It's a structural power grab dressed up in progress. So here's the real question we asking today. Is the WNBA being built for women and by women, or is it slowly being absorbed into an NBA pipeline that sidelines independent black ownership dreams? Because this ain't just about equity. It's about legacy, leverage, and who gets to sit at the table we help build. And with that, y'all know what it is. Let me go ahead and bring in the fearless voice behind the Poly Sports mic, the one who keeps the kettle hot and the truth hotter, Political Lil. Welcome to the conversation.
Oh, thank you, Auntie Cess. Listen, I'm so glad to be here for this critical conversation. This topic comes deep because it's not just about who gets a team. It's about who gets a future stake in women's sports. Ownership is power. Ownership means setting the terms, building the legacy, and shaping the narrative. And what we're seeing with this expansion is not an expansion for us. It's an expansion around us. And this conversation lives at the intersection of race, gender, and capital. We got a league that's built on the brilliance of black women on the court. But when it's time to make the decisions in the boardroom, that same brilliance is boxed out. Now, when Candace Parker, one of the most decorated players in league history, can't get ownership approval for a team in her college state with one of the most prolific women's college basketball fan bases in history, it's time to start asking some hard questions about that gatekeeping and control. So today we're pulling back the curtain. We're going to talk about NBA power consolidation, missed opportunity for black investors, and what this signals for the future of black-led generational wealth creation in sports. And on this $250 million question, I don't care what the fee was. You're not going to be in the game if you didn't have a fee to come to the table. So there's nothing that said, matter of fact, there was no transparency in how they selected the team. And, there's nothing I found in any research that said Candace or Jayson, and Jayson got a what, almost $300 million contract that he doesn't even touch. So you know he wasn't lacking with the money. So the bottom line is, for you to be in the bidding, you had to have had the money it took to bid. So I don't want to hear that nonsense about, you know, they come up with
they act like they came up there with 2 nickels trying to make we want to buy a team. Come on, stop it, y'all. Marvin, what's good? Mondo, what's good? James, yeah, I saw Van Loo sign with the Sparks. We'll see how that works. Mondo, yeah, I do remember when the NBA didn't want to touch the W. They didn't even want to be associated. But in the chat, y'all let us know. Do y'all think the WNBA is being built for women, or is it being reshaped as a feeder league for the NBA's brand power? Y'all let us know. But let's talk facts, not fantasies. The WNBA loves to brand itself as progressive, inclusive, player first. And on the surface, that's kind of the image, right? But behind the press kits and PR spins, the league's ownership patterns are starting to mirror the same racist and patriarchal blueprints we've seen for decades in men's sports. Let's be clear. This ain't new. Across the NBA, NFL, MLB, the story's been the same. Black athletes dominate the games, but the executive suites stay white and male. And now the W is following that same tire script where the faces on the court might be black, but the folks cutting the checks and calling the shots, not so much. And before y'all get in the chat and tell me about Serena Williams being a minority owner of the Toronto Tempo, miss me with it. I'm talking about majority ownership. I'm talking about having the power. I'm talking about having the say. I'm talking about that. T. Peters, what's going on? Danny Berry Sports Highlights, what's going on, fam? Appreciate y'all pulling up. But yeah, before y'all get in that, I don't want to hear that. I know that Serena's but I'm not talking about. I'm tired of us settling for it because they gave us a little piece. Somebody a minority. Dwayne Wade is so what? He paid $85 million for them to tell him to shut up. Silent. Shh. Give us the money. I ain't here for that part, okay? So I don't want to hear that part. The rejection of Candace Parker's Tennessee bid and Jayson Tatum's St. Louis push it's not a one-off. It's not bad timing. It's a continuation of a long calculated pattern. Keep black capital regulated on the court, not unleashed in the boardroom. White women too, because Kathy is a white woman who continues to bring NBA into the W. Okay, FM. I didn't even look at it from that point. And if y'all still need proof, let's talk Michael Jordan, most iconic athlete on earth, in my opinion. We don't have to get into an argument about it right now. The only black majority owner in NBA history after more than a decade, leading the Charlotte Hornets. He was pushed out. You can believe the narratives if you want. MJ was pushed out. If he can't keep his seat at the table, who else stand a chance? This ain't about who got the money. This is about who's allowed to build wealth, set vision, and profit off the growth they help create. See, black wealth is celebrated when it's dunking, it's dribbling, dancing in commercials, shut up and play basketball type stuff. But the moment they try to buy a team, control the brand, change the structure, own NBC, those same doors slam shut, loud. So while the WNBA talks progressive, the blueprint looks all too familiar. And if we don't challenge it now, we just gonna watch history keep repeating itself over and over and over again with a new logo and a feminist filter. So we deserve better. Let's burn the old blueprint and build something real. So, Lil, what does the Michael Jordan situation teach us about how black ownership is treated, even at the highest levels of men's sports?
It tells us that it's unimportant to the people who trying to maintain power, and it don't matter how much you done made for us, how much you done for us, how much you done put us on, on the world stage. When it comes to ownership, that is a no, a no, no matter who it is.
And Flatbush, I see you saying, what about Renee Montgomery? That's nice, but that's just one. It's 13 teams. I'm 85% of this league, maybe 90. I don't know the number. I'm more than you though, so I ain't gonna just take one. But it's a start. But I ain't come for the one, and I ain't settling for the one.
And she's not a majority owner either. Once again, so let's reframe the conversation. We're talking about majority ownership. We're not talking about people investing because the man from BET, his wife is a minority owner of the Washington Mist. So you do have some black women. There's a black woman minority owner also of the Milwaukee Bucks. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about having the entire keys to the house type of investment. And the league claiming that it's for diversity and equity, that doesn't signal that if you're going back to the same good old boy network, and not giving at least, Jayson Tatum, I understand that there was a rule change, if I'm not mistaken, that allowed NBA players to buy WNBA teams. And I think that's how he initially got in the business. But then you turn around and deny a person like Candace Parker a shot in ownership, because she also has, don't tell me about no money stuff, she also has a bid in to buy an NBA team. That same little group of investors. But I just, since you done gave the vouch to Golden State and you gave Toronto is also owned by what's the basketball team in Toronto?
Toronto Raptors. No,
yeah, the Raptors. They associated with them too. So since you did that, you would think that the next 3 franchises you would try to bring some powerhouse independent in to try to keep a balance. Yeah. But now you already, what you're trying to do is strong arm the players and put yourself in a position when the voting come and all that, it's gonna go the NBA way because they got the most teams.
So if Black women athletes are the lifeblood of the WNBA, why do you think there still be a shutout of ownership and leadership roles?
Well, first of all, says, we know the system wasn't built for them to lead in no capacity. It was built to use their labor, sell their image, but not ever hand over control. And the W loves Black women talent, but they fear their power. See, ownership means decision making, and that threatens the old guard.
So let's talk tension. Let's talk tension, fam, because what's happening right now in the dub is bigger than just expansion. It's about ownership versus oversight, partnership versus power grab. You said Kathy is just as guilty? Well, wait, what did Rob say? Rob Man Media jumped in the chat. What's up, Rob? You have to remember who's going to keep Kathy as the commissioner, which is the owner. So you think the owners are going to still keep Kathy in there?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, she representing them, and she's a corporate guru, and I think Duluth is one of the biggest investors. So, they're going to try to keep her around because they know she on their side.
Oh, we know Kathy is culpable already. We don't even got to worry about that. We don't even have to wonder you don't have to wonder about that. She is culpable in this too. Remember, when they came out last season, they were talking about like the racism and everything that was going on in the league. Kathy said, "What did it matter? We making money." the WNBA Players Association had to come out and say, "Hey, it does matter. This is trauma. This is bullying. This is racism. This ain't what we stand for." So no, don't wait for Kathy to fix it. That ain't the plan. Kathy ain't gonna fix it for us. 51 in the chat, y'all. Run them likes up. Hit the like and the share. They both right there. Let them know that we up here. If you look at the cities selected for the expansion teams, there is high concentration of the Black population. They want your money as fans, but they don't want you having any ownership say. Okay, see, Jim talking about it. Welcome to the conversation. We're still trying to get more diversity with the head coaches. Oh gosh, they've been taking that away from us in our face. It went from like over half to we down to like one female. Person. What we got one female, and then we got Sydney, we got Tyler, we got Noel. Who else? Don't forget.
That's
it.
It's
only 3 Black coaches.
Yeah, two are males.
Oh wow. Okay, so we down to 3. The NBA does bring its perks. We're not gonna act brand new. We talking marketing muscle. They got deep pockets. They got prime time arenas and a well-oiled infrastructure. But that support, it's not free. And what we're starting to see is that the WNBA's growth might be coming with a leash on it. It's only gonna go so far. By 2030, 12 of the league's 18 teams will be owned or heavily controlled by NBA entities. That's not evolution, y'all. We being absorbed. That's absorption. That's the W becoming a subsidiary, not a standalone force. And every time a new team gets handed to an NBA, group instead of a new independent voice. It's a decision and a pattern, and that's a warning. Let's call it what it is. It's not partnership. It's paternalism. It's not collaboration. It's consolidation, and it's not empowerment. It's empire building. So we got to ask: if the WNBA can't grow without the NBA strings attached, then who's really writing the future of women's basketball? You said we got a toddler grip on Noel. Oh God, you think she's slipping? Oh, okay. Is this league for women, by women, or just an NBA side hustle with a pink logo and a diversity pledge? See, the moment this moment demands clarity, because growth without independence, without identity, and without ownership equity ain't liberation, it's branding. So we gotta keep the heat on. We keep asking the hard questions, and we don't stop until Black women have power in the paint and in the boardroom. Lil, is NBA involvement helping grow the game, or is it slowly turning the W into a side project?
Both can be true. Now the NBA, they bring their resources, but right now it's looking like a hostile takeover, as opposed to a partnership. And then the WNBA is risking becoming just a brand accessory, for the NBA instead of standing in its own force. And that's the danger right there.
And what are the risks of the WNBA depending too heavily on NBA ownership and branding?
Well, the simple answer is that you lose your independence. See, you can't challenge a system that you don't own. And if the W is too tied to the NBA money, its priorities going to always reflect, the NBA interest, not the player needs, not community values, and definitely not equity. And you could tell that's going on in the fact that they don't demand that the quality of facilities be the same across the league.
So FM, double check that the Sheila Johnson, because when I checked about the Washington Mystics, it told me that somebody named Ted Leonsis, the same person who owned the Wizards and the Capitals, own the majority owner of the Mystics. Let me know. Clara Wusai, Asian woman, and her husband are majority owners of the Liberty. Okay. Oh, Joe Simon. Got you. Thank you, FM. Let me know about Sheila Johnson though. Would y'all support a WNBA team that was completely unaffiliated with the NBA? I would. 55 in the chat, y'all. Run them likes up for us. Hit the like and the share. They both right there. As always, been owned by the NBA, at least the majority of the teams. As they started to expand now, yeah. But at one point, independent ownership had kind of taken over. But now with the expansion is all going to NBA led groups. Yeah, they are now a majority owner of teams again. But I want to say at one point, 7 of the teams were independent, 6 or 7 of them out the 12.
Mm-hmm.
I would support it, being I respect it more, even if I have respect for the game now. Yeah, I would respect it more too. I respect the game now too, but I would respect it more. I've always been a person that was like, I'm okay if it's not called the WNBA. I'm okay if it's just called women's basketball. It doesn't have to be called any of that. We don't have to be the national nothing basketball. It doesn't have to be any of that. That brand doesn't make the product that's on the floor. That brand is not why I watch. So I would totally support it. I would totally support to be an independent league. Doing something like what soccer did. But let's sit with this, and talk about, are they really growing the game, or are they colonizing it? Because we talk about like the tools of expansion, right? Are used to consolidate control. It stops being growth. It starts looking like a takeover in a way, right? A takeover. And let's define what true independence looks like. If this expansion game is really about keeping the NBA at the head of the table, then let's be real. Independent ownership ain't just business, it's rebellion. It's resistance, it's disruption with purpose. Independent ownership looks like the keys to the house. All the women games should be played as a pregame before the NBA games to help build the fan base. Oh, I would never do that. I would never do that. I would never do that. But that's one idea. I wouldn't be interested in that. I wouldn't want to go check out a women's game before a men's game. Different type of crowd, different type of energy.
And they play in different times of the season. How would that even be feasible?
I wouldn't want to fold those two seasons together, none of that. But, we got to start talking about ideas. How many people would be interested in going to check out a women's game before a men's game? See, I'm not the opening act. I'm a goddamn headliner. So I ain't interested in being the pre-show. That's just how I feel. I'm a headliner. I don't come out and warm up the crowd. especially not when people talking about they like WNBA basketball better than NBA basketball. I'll be damn if I come out and warm up the crowd for what?
Mm-hmm.
Make Unrivaled 505 and have everybody leave to do that. She is president and managing Monumental Sports. If she doesn't say anything, but who can? We need Sheila to say something as the president. They definitely need a summer league, a scouting combine at some point. But not summer league. They need an off-season league because it would probably be winter. Not me, since I don't watch the NBA. I want the main show to be women's basketball. Yeah, I'm not signing up to be anybody's sideshow. Fuck that. I just ain't interested. Is the Chicago Sky the only independent-owned team? No, the Las Vegas Aces are independently owned by the gentleman that owns the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle is owned by who? Is Seattle independently owned? There's a few teams there.
Seattle is independently owned.
I think it's Phoenix. Is Phoenix independent?
No, Phoenix is tied to
the Suns.
To the Suns.
I've been celebrating getting 5K subscribers. So I ain't no good at answering no questions for y'all right now. We're gonna try to find the answers for y'all. But
Connecticut, Dallas, the Sparks are now gonna be associated because the Lakers just got sold, and they got sold to the person that owns the Sparks.
Mm-hmm.
Then Seattle Storm and Portland is on. They're gonna get that team to a billionaire. They don't have no NBA associated team.
What up, MJ?
Atlanta Dream is also not associated with the Atlanta Hawks. And then everybody knows Chicago got a bum. I mean, they independent.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. She's only the number 2 at Monumental. Ted Leonis, the CEO and chairman of the board. Yeah, Ted in charge over there. Now, but Sheila gonna have to speak up. She the voice we got in the room.
Mm-hmm.
But when black investors, foreign players, and women with lived experience step into these ownership roles, they're not just buying in; they're building out. They're bringing vision, not just valuation. They're bringing accountability, not just access. Right? They're bringing a cultural lens that sees beyond the bottom line and speaks directly to the community that made the league what it is. And that's the part that's important. This ain't just about wealth. This is about who gets to define success, who gets to hire the next GM, who gets to invest in youth hoops, and who's sitting in the owners' meetings when the new policies hit the table. Without independent player-led and black and brown-led ownership, the W risk becoming another arm of the same exclusionary machine that's locked black folks out of the top floor for generations. Yeah, Dream owner, only Renee is only a minority owner. That's what Lil cleared that up too. But here's the twist. We've seen another way. Look at Angel City FC in the NWSL, a team backed by women, built on equity, fueled by visibility, and invested in people, not just profits. That model flipped the script and became the blueprint. Look at Naomi Osaka, investing in women's sports and bringing her platform to the table. Look at Unrivaled. Players said, we'll do it ourselves, and created their own ecosystem. These aren't just headlines, they're proof that athlete-led, black-owned, community-rooted ventures can win. And not just on the court, in culture, in capital, in real transformative power. So we don't just want to sit at the table. We want to build the damn house, and we'll make sure it reflects us. That's what we're looking for. So, Lil, why is the independent ownership, especially by black and brown women and former athletes, so critical in the future of the WNBA?
Because independent ownership, particularly by those who know the culture, the game, and the struggle, that's the only way to truly protect the soul of the league. And Black women and former players bring a lived experience, not just business degree. And they understand what players need, how to build a community, and how to disrupt the exploitive structures that are baked into sports. Without them in the ownership, the WNBA risks just becoming a league for women, but not bad women. And that's not progress. That's some repackaged patriarchy.
But and Lil, what does the fact that these women are coming into the league brands now with their own marketing arms and their own networks? What does that mean to this time in the WNBA to be able to have them empowered and in ownership for the growth of this league?
It's a tremendous opportunity, to capitalize the league. You already got brands associated with individual players. I mean, you got players that might come in here with 10, 11 brands attached to them.
Right.
That could also attach to the WNBA, and we're starting to see some of that. Plus, you can't never outlive a lived experience, especially in a league where it's been so dogmatic for these young ladies for 26 years. They know the hardship. They know, not getting the pregame meal. They know what it's like to not be able to relax in a hotel after a game, not have a treatment center, not have a body development center and stuff like that. These are things that these young men don't ever have. They don't have to face it at no level. Exactly. we seen that in the NCAA when they tried to get them 2 barbells. And the men had a whole damn workout room.
Facility. They had a facility. They had 3, 5, and 10 in there. That was embarrassing. Did you see where Christian Brennan suggested that CC should start her own league? I didn't, but yeah, she's interested. Start her up. Storm owners Jenny Gilder, Lisa Brummel. Okay. Majority owners. Okay, let me know. I had another question. Do you think models like Angel City FC offer a blueprint for the kind of league the WNBA could become if it embraced community first ownership? Or do you really think like they would have to scrap it and start over?
No, Angel City FC proved that when you put the community and the athletes at the center, not the corporation consolidated, you can create a brand that resonates, draws investors, and changes the game. Now, they've built a profitable, values-driven model that reinvests in the players and the city that it represents. If the WNBA was to follow that path, putting culture over control, it could become the blueprint for a sustainable athlete-led success story, and that's across all women's sports. But but you got to let go of that NBA dominance, and you got to make room for new voices at the table. The WNBA is going to become a stale piece of bread if they do not.
I say just get up from the table. Get up from the table. Yeah,
all together.
Just move from the table. I don't even want to be at the table anymore. I'm not interested in having it be a female version of the NBA, especially because people right now, a lot of people that come into the chat are like, I don't watch the NBA. Stopped watching the NBA years ago. It's watered down. I don't like the basketball. So many different complaints about. I still watch the NBA. I will probably always watch the NBA because I'm a creature of habit. It was something that my family was around. I love the game of hoops. But I can understand what people say it's not the same. It's not the same exciting brand of basketball that it was. I don't engage and indulge the same way I did a few years ago or even, some years back, but I still keep my ear to the street on it. But I don't want the WNBA to become that. The WNBA right now, I don't know, if we realize like the WNBA right now, we're cussing and fussing because it's 2 games on at the same time that we can't watch really good at the same time. Why didn't it stack them up? Because the product is that good. The product is that good that we want to be able to see every one of the games that they put on. Name another sport that you want to see every team that they got playing, or the majority of every team that's playing. Exactly. You ain't watching a football game. You're not watching every baseball game. It's 162 of them games a year. You probably ain't even watching every one of your favorite baseball teams games, but you want to see every WNBA game that's on every night.
Facts.
And you want to spread out in a way that you can enjoy them all. People be watching one game and then setting up they plan for the rewatch of the games that they missed. That's how hot this is right now. It doesn't need to be the NBA because it ain't that. It's its own thing.
That's the main thing. It's its own thing.
Part of the reason why I stopped watching NBA and NFL because of the lack of black ownership. I'm an NBA senior historian since '82. 42% of WNBA owned by NBA, 42% owned by WNBA owners, and 16% owned by investors who make $75 million investment in 2022. Yeah, 42% of the team. And then now they got $250 million investments coming in from NBA-backed investors. Baseball, soccer, lacrosse. I'm not sure what you're saying here. I don't know. Let me know. Yes, I would support a team owned by former players. Yeah, it would be fun, I think. They were so good this year. I love
they missed a hell of an opportunity passing on Candace. I'm gonna tell you. That could have been a lightning rod right there. I mean, the way she's positioned, you know, right now that would have been an ideal thing to give her one of those franchises and to put it in Tennessee, which would have made that connection to college, you know, just that more pertinent. I didn't understand that one at all.
Yeah, MJ, you're right. People do get their lives changed in the NBA, come back to the hood and change others' lives. But what we want the NBA and the WNBA to do is give them an opportunity to be owners, to be able to change lives from a point of ownership instead of just a point of player or a point of product on the floor. We got, we deserve that. I think players have to play their part by speaking up on the subject of ownership. When Bill Russell and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had everything to lose, they spoke up on civil rights issues. I believe they do speak up. Let me tell you something. If you're not watching Satu Sabali every time they put a microphone in front of her face, I don't know what you're missing. Every time they put a microphone in front of Satu's face, she don't miss an opportunity to whack Kathy over the head. Whack Kathy over the head. I am loving Satu Sabali, the WNBA Players Association rep. Okay, if y'all not following Satu, you gotta feel it. Satu don't miss an opportunity to whack Kathy over the head. Pull it up, okay?
Neither does Kai. Kai Copper.
Hey, Satu gonna tell it. Kai Copper too. But Satu is I don't know that people realize that Satu is part of the negotiation team on the players' part. W rejected Tatum and Candace because they want to keep ownership white. The W isn't trying to improve anything. The ideas are right there, and they act like they can't see them. It's getting more and more expensive now, even for rich minorities. $250 million, but they could raise it. See, here's the thing. They'll say $250 million sound like a whole lot of money, but at the same time, think about this. They just offer sellers $8 million to transfer out of South Carolina. He ain't even in the NFL. Then there's $10 million to transfer schools. Do you hear me? It's black wealth out there. Stop playing. Don't let them tell y'all that. $8 million to leave. And he said no. So stop playing with me. It's black wealth out there. Stop playing. Don't let them tell y'all that. What kind of leadership do y'all want to see in women's sports? Y'all let me know. What kind of leadership do y'all want to see? Let's talk about the future. The future. What can be done? Because fam, if the WNBA keeps slamming the door on black investors, former players, and independent voices, we got two options. We got to bang louder or build our own. And honestly, we might need to actually think about doing both. See, let's talk strategy, legal and policy pressure. That's one lane. We need to start asking hard questions about whether the league's current expansion model raises antitrust flags or violates competition standards. If every new team lands in NBA hands, that's not just coincidence. It could be a structural gatekeeping tactic. So let's start pushing for ownership review boards, community investment requirements, and diversity mandates baked right into the league policy. Put it in writing. Make it enforceable. But listen, policy without pressure is just paperwork. This is where culture comes in. Media, social campaigns, grassroots, organizing, direct calls to action. Fans move the needle. And when fans say we ain't buying what you selling unless equity's on the label, then the league got to take notice. We need narrative disruption on podcasts, YouTube shows, on threads, at every pregame live. Expose the exclusion. Make silence expensive. Make silence expensive. Y'all hear me? And let's be real. Players hold the key. Next time a CBA comes up, we're not just talking salary bumps and better flights. We talking ownership access, executive pipeline programs, equity shares and expansion teams, real seats at real tables, especially for Black women who built the culture capital this league is cashing in on. Okay. But maybe, just maybe, this fight doesn't end in reform. Maybe it evolves into revolution. Because why keep begging for a seat at their table when we got the blueprint to build our own mansion? A Black-owned women's pro league, athlete-run media empires, community-first franchise models, alternative power structures where culture is the capital and the ownership is the standard, not the exception. We're not stuck. We just done waiting. Lil, do you think policy change alone can fix this, or is this about building new structures entirely?
Well, you know, policy change. That's always a beginning point. But you can't really reform your way out of a system that was never built for you in the first place. And, you know, you could tweak the rules all day, but if the ownership structure is still concentrated and Black athletes are excluded, you know, from generational wealth opportunities, we're just polishing the gate that keeps us out. So the real equity means, you know, probably building parallel systems, new leagues, athlete-led ventures, and a media arm that does not rely on the NBA's permission to thrive. So policy is survival, but ownership is where the real liberation is going to happen.
So how important is it for this next CBA to include ownership pathways or post-career transition plans for the Black and brown players?
Critical. The next CBA can't just be about, you know, increase in pay, you know, from that employee standpoint. It got to be about power redistribution, ownership pathways. You know, that's how you should label the leadership. And most Black players exit the game without a roadmap for wealth, business ownership, or influence. And if they don't demand post-career infrastructure now, mentorship, front office pipelines, investment equities, the whole nine, then the system will keep using Black women prime years and then they'll toss them to the side. They did the same thing on the plantation. They use you, and the minute you bent over and they, you know, they can't make you pick another piece of cotton, then you was tossed to the side. And we see that in how you think about it. Look at how they treat they legacy players. They Hall of Famers, you know, exclusion instead of inclusion in the league that they built. So the CBA is the moment they have to say no more, even if it means a stoppage. They gotta get some ownership and not just these little trinket, you know, opportunities.
Absolutely. Yeah, and if it wasn't for Bob Johnson, yeah, Bob, I believe, is the one who sold the mic.
Yeah,
I believe, right? And Mondo, I can't see a pro basketball league allowing a college player of the same sport to invest could cause a conflict. Yeah, and I don't know if Rob is still here. I know that was a question to Rob, if they can invest in NBA teams, if college players can invest in pro teams. If you know the answer, if you're still in the chat, let us know. We are polishing the gate that keeps us out. Great quote, Political Lil. It's very important. Even Magic Johnson couldn't buy the Lakers for $10 billion. No, like Bill couldn't buy NBC. You know, it's a lot of things you can't buy. It's a lot of stuff for sale. Money ain't good someplace. Money's no good here. That means something.
Exactly. Money no good here.
You wonder if Magic had that much funds to do that $10 billion? How much you think Magic worth? Another thing too is, it's not necessarily about how much money they got in the bank or how much they worth. It's about how much capital can they raise.
Exactly.
Within their network.
Exactly.
So don't get caught up on what he only made. How much cachet does his name carry? How many people would do business with him? How many butts can he put in a seat by being attached to this that would make me want to invest in it? Because how much money will I make off of it?
Mm-hmm.
It's about how much capital can I raise, not how much money I got. How much capital can I raise? They may not sell to him as a majority, but it's about how much capital can you raise. But let's zoom out some, fam. Let's zoom out. That young man in the newest Magic Johnson movie looks just like him. What's the newest Magic Johnson movie? Magic, you gotta let me know. You gotta let me know what was out. Well, let's zoom out and start and get right to where the pressure is peaking at the labor. The WNBA just opted out of the current CBA. We know that, right? And it's not a procedural move. It's a warning shot. They're heading into look. This might be the most pivotal labor negotiation in league history in 2025. This time it's bigger than salary. This ain't about salary. Revenue sharing, equity stakes, infrastructure upgrades, real working conditions, and most importantly, the power. This ain't just about better deals. It's about ownership of the game's future. And with player-led ventures like Unrivaled already laying out a blueprint where athletes aren't just employees, but they stakeholders, they're decision makers and builders, the contrast couldn't be clearer. On one side, you got a league rooted in culture, trying to evolve into something freer, fairer, and more just. On the other side, though, you got increasing NBA control. It's like a machine. It's tightening its grip as the players are getting bolder and more organized. Do y'all see the play? They tighten their grip. As soon as the players are trying to grow up in this thing and move into the next level, they like, oh, we're gonna try to hold you where you at. Like Political Lil said, it's no coincidence this power grab is happening right before the next CBA. Because if the W gets locked into the same old model, NBA strings, corporate first priorities, no athlete equity, it risks becoming a brand that borrows from Black women's labor without ever giving them leadership. And that's what we're trying to avoid. The next CBA is the line in the sand. This is it right here. This is it. Are we building a player-led movement or settling for a corporate control brand? Let us know so we can figure out where to spend our money. Because either the WNBA becomes a place where Black women lead, profit, and shape policy, or it remains a league where they carry the culture but never hold the keys. And if the league will head over, best believe the players are building their own damn set. Like it's gonna come to a head here. It's gonna come to a head. They rejected the CBA proposal. The WNBA league sent to him. Let's go. Magic had a lot of business, but he does leverage the hell out of some of it. Yeah, he might leverage the hell out of it. But how much capital can he raise in his network? Lil, how do you see the CBA showdown shaping the future of labor and ownership in the dub?
The CBA got to be more than about the salary. It has to be about restructuring that power base, and I think the WNBPA is walking into these negotiations knowing that the league is growing, that the players are the product, and that they have some leverage. Now, what gives a negotiation like, revenue sharing, the travel, and the healthcare, those are bottom feeder things that just, have to get done. But the real fight is going to be about owner access, long-term equity, and governance. And if this showdown goes right, it could be the moment Black women athletes stop driving the league and start steering it. This is so critical and it's so important in terms of its outcome that this could start a labor movement across all industries, because this country has to change. At some point, it's going to blow up if you do not change the way that labor and ownership interacts. People on all kind of jobs across the board, they tired of being maneuvered and manipulated. People want some kind of equity in what it is they're doing. And, I'm sure that Nafisa and Stewie, looked at that soccer model. It came with Unrivaled. Kathy went down there because she worried. She went down there, let me look it over. But you got the NBA. I know them white boys is in that boardroom. Oh, forget that. Don't worry about that. We're gonna strong arm them. This, that, and the other. And people sick of that. You know, people sick of that.
Ain't gonna push me. Ain't gonna push. Keep pushing people around.
Yeah, and pretty soon they're gonna look up, and we're gonna be balling somewhere else, because the bottom line is the fans are not gonna follow ownership. They didn't come to see them play. Nobody coming to see you, Otis. You know, they come to see the players play. And so if they have to go and move to maybe, 10,000 seat stadiums as opposed to 20, hey, it's still some ball being played. It's still something to be enjoyed. And that's where the fans, going to eventually go. I know that Slick and them what they trying to do is get the fans to see black women as these greedy, ungrateful, trying to boss us out or box us out. That's what they trying to do with all the little maneuvers that they putting out here. But people are so sick of that they beginning to see through that. Bottom line is, you can't run a country, industries and all that into the ground. Labor is going to uprise in this nation on a scale they've never seen before. And everybody wants a little stake in what they doing. And I just don't see anything wrong with that.
It started with the quiet quitting in COVID, but that's a whole nother thing. That started right there. All these new investors means there is a ton of money and opportunities in the pipeline they want access to. Players got to stay strong. They got to lock in.
Mm-hmm.
They should push for ownership stake. All those labor issues matter, especially healthcare, retirement. When it's all said and done, power concedes nothing without demand. If the players don't demand it, then why should I care? There you go. Just like the NFL players will not fight for guaranteed contracts, why should I care? They gotta fight. You're right. They gotta show us that they care.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get into it. Unrivaled ain't just a league. It's a loud ass declaration. We ain't waiting for permission. We building power. Unrivaled co-founder Defisa Collier, Brianna Stewart, they flipping the whole damn script. This ain't play for pay. This is play for power.
Yeah.
Equity over exposure, ownership over optics. In Unrivaled, athletes are stakeholders, boardroom voices, and decision makers. Not just jerseys at a campaign shoot. It's a model that says we are the product, so we should own the platform. We bring the culture, so we define the brand. We built this, so we profit from it. Meanwhile, over the W, grip tight. NBA deepens its control. League look more and more like a corporate holding than a space rooted in community culture or athlete empowerment. Just as players are getting louder about equity, voice, and real ownership, the infrastructure is shifting to centralized power, not shared. So this ain't random. It's a preemptive strike. What do we do with that?
Listen, Unrivaled is offering proof that women can build a league, they can lead it, and they can profit from it without needing permission from these billionaires in the NBA. And that's a revolution waiting to scale. So I suspect that Unrivaled power base is going to be ready to scale and make sure that if they have to have a labor stoppage, they're gonna be able to outlast some people. People ain't gonna the players not gonna go hungry waiting on the league to make things happen. And they playing hardball. You can tell by the statement Elizabeth Williams came out with, that they trying to throw them some crumbs and play them like they some plantation cotton pickers.
But I think they stacked up their shekels, Lil. I think they stowed away a couple peanuts or something to be able to rock this thing out. I think these players are going to stand together and figure it out, and everybody they're gonna help each other eat until they figure this thing out. At least I believe that's the way this thing is started.
Mm-hmm.
No fluff, no spin, y'all. Candace Parker is not just a WNBA legend; she is the legacy. She's a GOAT, two-time champ, Olympic gold medalist, media powerhouse, one of the league's most visible ambassadors. Business acumen, cultural relevance, community credibility, Adidas. That's a franchise face before you can even sell a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Jayson Tatum, NBA All-Star, tied to his hometown of St. Louis. Resources, reach, respect. To put a new city on the W map. There were serious black. These were seriously black-led bids backed with real money, real strategy, real community, impact plans, both got rejected. The question ain't just why not them, it's why always somebody else? Why do NBA adjacent white male led groups keep getting the green light? And how many knows before we stop calling it coincidence, start calling it what it is, structural exclusion?
Mm-hmm.
Lil said, when white billionaire NBA owners keep getting yes and black led bids keep getting no, we're not in the realm of randomness anymore. We're staring down a whole ass pattern. It ain't just shady, it might be illegal. Because if qualified black investors are being locked out despite meeting or exceeding every metric, then we're talking about potential Title VII violations, civil rights issues, and economic discrimination at the franchise level. This ain't just a sports story. This is capital access issue, gatekeeping crisis, and a legal red flag. And we're not letting it slide. Because if black people can sell out arenas, drive media engagement, make the WNBA relevant, but still can't own a piece of what they built, that's not a league ruin. It's replicating the same rigged ass system we've been fighting for decades. The no's are telling a story, and we can't be afraid to name it. Let me see here. Yeah, they definitely took the table over. Would it work if a coalition of all franchises just bought the league and started to manage everything, like each franchise greats just managing their own teams? I would definitely love to have them around. I would definitely love to see something like that. I think that starts the conversation. I think that they need to get out of the NBA control and then figure out what they want to do. They definitely took the table over at Unrivaled. Hell yeah. Thank you, FM. I was hoping more W would expand using the Aces and Sons model, bringing in retired players as the league grows. They leave me to. I don't know why they let these living legends walk around and not use them.
And they're young.
Yeah, they got living legends. It ain't even like they 102 or 97, 83. They 35, 42 out here still hooping. They ain't got nowhere around the league.
Doing nothing.
Lil, you want to break down ownership as a labor issue?
Yeah, here's the core issue. The WNBA doesn't fully own itself. We all know that. 42%, that's their ownership stake. Then the NBA have a 42%, and then you got these private investors that put up, I think it was $75 million. They own 60%. So for the WNBA players to achieve a 50-50 revenue share like the young men have in the NBA, they would need some major reallocation of that equity. The WNBA, they would have to give up 20%, and then the NBA, they had to give up 22%, and then private investors would have to give up 8% in order for the players to get their 50%. When you ask the question if that's realistic under the current model, it's not likely unless the leagues, do some kind of collective buyout, or maybe Unrivaled buys that portion. Maybe a black venture capital, organization could put up the money to buy them out, or a fan-backed equity platform. That's a.
I mean, Mark Cuban was just a fan that bought the Mavericks.
Yeah, it's a provocative
Kraft
vision.
was just a fan that bought the Patriots. So,
so it's possible, I don't know that it'll get done, but I know that the players are they want that 50% revenue sharing, and we're going to come back with a show that talks about all the basketball related income and how those shares, how that money is split, especially with the men as opposed to the women, because this current CBA got so many, you got to make so many millions here to get this percentage and so many, but then they'll never want to show you the books. You'll never find out if you made the milestone or not, because they won't show you anything, so I don't, that's how it's broken down. That's what would have to be sold off, so to speak. I mean, I'm not suggesting anybody give up, their equity without being paid. I'm not saying it should be a free exchange, but with the money that the NBA makes, Is it necessary for you to own 42% of the damn WNBA? That's not a necessity. That's not gonna stop you from paying your light bill. I don't see why you can't be, look, let us throw you this, whatever the value of that is, so these young ladies can get get paid, because with these women that's coming behind them, especially starting in 2027, I mean, I know they probably looking, bottom line dollars, but somebody gonna have to give up something, or you're gonna all wind up with nothing. So, that's kind of the way I see that there.
That is a very good point. That's a very good point. Let's see here. CC, the only one that could give the WNBA PA leverage, to be honest. Well, I don't know. Like CC can't play all the games by herself, so I think that the Players Association needs to stick together. I think together is their leverage. The players have a golden opportunity to make a senior statement with the All-Star game coming up. No reasonable agreement reached by then. The All-Star game simple. I'm interested to see if they make that stand. My understanding for their reason is the teams they selected was they had more basketball infrastructure, facilities, media, etc., experience, marketing, player management. Yeah, NBA control.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it sounded like. The NBA control is what it was that made that work. But let's bring it home, fam. Because this part right here, this is the whole point. Ownership ain't just about money. It's about narrative power. It's about who gets to shape the league's values, profits from its rise, and who ends up erased even as they carry the weight. This ain't hypothetical. This is right now. So we got to ask, how can we, the fans, stand in the gap? Not just cheering for buckets, but fighting for boardroom seats. Not just reposting highlights, but applying pressure. Because advocacy, policy, and people power, that's what shifts culture. We're not here to sip tea. We're here to build a movement. And that's why we're committing to launching a new advocacy group. One that rises for Black women and all marginalized women in sports. One that challenges exclusion, calls out racial injustice, fights for economic liberation, and demands media accountability and representation. Because this ain't just about expansion bids. It's about who gets to define the future of the W. And if NBA billionaires own the table, players won't even get the crumbs, let alone a seat. So here's what's next, fam. We're launching a bold new series, the CBA Reckoning, Race, Labor, and Power in the WNBA. We're going to break it all the way down, how race, gender, and media are being weaponized in this contract battle, and what it means for the full agency of Black women in the league they've helped build from day one. Because legacy ain't just wins, it's ownership. Applause is cute, but equity hits different. So don't just watch, join us. Like the stream, share this episode, subscribe to the podcast, bring 3 people with you next time. We organizing, not just commentating. Never forget, sports is never just about the games we play. It's the stories we tell and the systems we challenge. Lil, what you got before you ready to get out of here?
Hey, listen. Look at every story from a political point of view. Now, I've seen plenty of stories about, oh, wow, the expansion. But nobody looked behind the curtain and said, well, what happened to the two Black bids? And that's why Cess and I decided, hey, we need to bring that to the table and talk about this. Because it's not being talked about in the mainstream enough. They just glad some white men, got some teams. And half of the people that's not politically aware of what's happening are just overjoyed that 3 more teams are coming aboard. But, what's coming aboard is crushing, what's behind and who laid the bricks. We got a serious problem. It's time. The time is now. For Black women to get an ownership seat at the table, as well as Black men. I know they say LeBron working on, get the franchise team. I'm gonna see how they gonna dupe him. And
so, I believe that both Grant Hill and Chris Webber,
right, are working.
are minority owners associated with the Detroit Shock making. So potentially.
Detroit got Eminem on board.
Yeah, so we'll see.
They got some heavyweights.
I'm right here. I'm right here in the D. So I'm gonna be giving a real. I'm gonna make a commitment to when I'm here in the city, giving a real coverage to what's going on with the Detroit Shock, because they're one of my favorite teams out there. Back in the day. So be on the lookout for a historical breakdown of who the Detroit Shock were to the WNBA, and some breakdowns of who some of those players were. Listen, y'all, I hit 5,000 today. Political Lil, I want to thank you for taking this ride with me. It was just one night. It was like Teaspoon got fired. Lil, come up here and let's talk about it. And it went from and it went from there. From there is Poly Sports Tea Time. I so enjoy doing this show with you. I love the topics. I appreciate the research and the work that you put in. It doesn't happen without you. I appreciate y'all. Y'all hit them likes, hit them shares. We're gonna celebrate 5K at some point. I'll be back in just a little bit for some hoops. This Political Lil, your favorite anti-radical tendency says. Hey, listen, we got the tea hot, the truth hotter, and the vision clear. Y'all stay tuned. Talk soon. We out.